Bum 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 Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, and touch me, baby.
But can't you see that I am not afraid? Shaka-ka-ka.
What
Lawrence is good at piano.
He is, dude. That piano solo he does at the end of the movie on it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. Like, that song is like fucking... He does a keyboard solo, and I was just like, oh, fuck.
All of those kids are like... Because most of them were just musicians that...
Oh, yeah.
I'll just say it here. School of Rock remains like one of my favorite movies. I love that movie so much.
It's a classic.
Like, and it's one of those that's really, really accessible. Mm-hmm. Like I loved it as a kid, and I love it as an adult. It's just like, it's really well made. Like, everything about it. It's really funny, and it's really like jovial and nice to watch. But like, looking at it, like how it's made, it's like really well made too.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Like, I was thinking about it a bit when I was watching it, because it's like Richard Linklater directs it, and he goes for just a very like kind of like an unnoticeable directing style is the best way I can put it, where it's just like very clean, very efficient, but it's not like clean in a bad way. Sometimes, you know, you can do shit and it's just like a little too dry, but it's just right.
And there are some scenes, like a lot of the music scenes are not there's like no cuts in them. Mm-hmm. Like the first shot, the first scene where where Jack Black is just like, okay, I wrote a song. He's like, well, play it, Schneebly. And they start singing it. That's just one long shot of it, like, slowly zooming out of him dancing. It's so good. Like,
And he really does an effective job at selling, like, the song without actually having anything there. Like, you get the experience of the song through his little presentation, which I thought was, like, very effective. But before we just dive into School of Rock.
That's not even the first movie we were talking. That's like the middle point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about Richard Linklater. It's been a couple of weeks. Thomas had a little house scare. Mm-hmm. We just were being safe, and we just decided to take a break because sometimes this can be a little wearing.
Yeah, we were going to take a break originally, but London opted out of his trip, which is for the better, but we didn't take the break we were planning on taking around there. So then I got a COVID scare. I came into contact with someone who was positive, even though they were vaccinated, and I was like, fuck. So I went, got tested, took a week off. So yeah.
Now we're back.
We are back.
And instead of watching just School of Rock and Boyhood, we watched 6 Linklater films, and this is now a director deep dive. So yeah, we'll be talking about from earliest to newest, it's Dazed and Confused. Slacker, Dazed and Confused. Waking Life and Tape were both in 2001. Mm-hmm. School of Rock and then Boyhood. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of his early works, and then we just jumped ahead to Boyhood, which is part of his early work. It's just and
I'm sure we'll probably reference some of his other films that we've seen when we're talking about the broad strokes of kind of his style. But
outside of these, we've covered the Boyhood trilogy on the podcast, and then me and Thomas together have also watched A Scanner Darkly.
Yes. Good one.
No, it is a good one. I'm going to be honest, I've not watched a Richard Linklater movie so far that I have not liked. Yeah,
I'd probably agree with that.
Like, there's a couple there's like one today that I wasn't like super hot on, but in general, I had a blast watching these.
Yeah, no, he's definitely like, I feel like not so much anymore. He's got a couple like really renowned ones, but he's almost like a Sidney Lumet. Is that how?
Yeah, like he's
a type like that where he just. You know, his movies
busts out bangers that people like, but people don't like. Oh yeah, Richard Linklater.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just nice to go through and see a lot of the ones that I hadn't seen before, and just realize, wow, impressive.
Yeah,
impressive.
He's doing. I don't know if you knew, you heard about this, but it was announced like 3 years ago that he's doing another movie. In the sense, like, kind of like Boyhood, where he's filming it, like, every year. I think it's for the next, like, 15 years or something, and it's a musical.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can find out. But I'm like, that sounds incredible.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll probably be pretty good, given the man's track record. Yeah.
Merrily we roll along.
Yeah, interesting. I was gonna say I was curious if it was like an already established musical or if it's one he's making up, but it sounds like it's one he's...
No, it's based on a Sondheim
it
musical,
is?
yeah.
Oh, okay. I just hadn't heard of that one.
And Beanie Feldstein's in it, and Ben Platt, and some guy that I don't know. 20 years.
20 years.
20 years. So we'll see it in... it started in 2019. We'll see it in like 2040.
Yeah.
That's bonkers to think about.
Jeez. Are movies even gonna...
We'll be like 45 years old.
Yeah, no, that'll be a long time from now.
I hate to think about that. Jesus Christ.
I mean, think about like the people who were like 20 in the early 2000s when they started filming Boyhood or whatever.
Well, that's what... I want to talk about Boyhood and School of Rock so much because those are the ones that affected me the most.
Yeah, honestly, there's like 3 of the films that we watched that I'm like, I'm not like,
and it's just like and I think it's because School of Rock came out. They were 10 years old when it came out. We were like 6. That's like around our age group. So I grew up around these kids, Boyhood.
I watched this movie a shit ton.
Boyhood. The guy who played the main character is like 2 years older than us. Like Boyhood is about our childhood, pretty much. Like it's
I definitely.
So it's like Dazed and Confused didn't hit me as much because I wasn't like that's for Richard Linklater's like generation. That can make sense.
I definitely like resonated with like little bits and pieces,
like some of the feelings, but like there are actual story beats in Boyhood that I'm like I can see that.
Yes, I definitely was had a more intimate connection with Boyhood than I did with Dazed and Confused. But there are definitely bits of Dazed and Confused that like rang true to me because I was a high school stoner, Yeah. But
and it's like it's really weird. Okay. Stop right here. Let's talk about the other things we've done in the past couple weeks. We'll jump. I have a lot to talk about for Linklater movies, though.
We could probably go on for hours on this one. We've still got a Dracula episode.
Yeah, we got Dracula, and then we got So it's kind of good that we have a time frame to adhere to, or we would just be babbling.
What time is the thing?
That's at 6:40. It's probably like a 45-minute drive. So probably leave like an hour. So we'll leave it like 5:40. Dracula will take probably an hour. That's usually our lead Weens episodes.
I don't imagine that one will take very long.
So we just need to be recording the Dracula podcast in like 2 hours.
Yeah, we'll probably be good.
But yeah, I told you recently, like 20 minutes ago, I watched a bunch of the Friday the 13th movies. I watched 1 through 6. Here's my quick scores for them. Number 1, 2 out of 10. Fucking hated that movie. Number 2, 4 out of 10. I like the bag on his head, but kind of forgettable. Number 3, 6 out of 10. This is when Friday the 13th, I think, gets its identity. Like, the hockey mask is there, but also, like, just the characters feel more fleshed out, and, like, the movie itself feels like it knows what it wants to do, while 1 and 2 just feel like they're just echoes of better movies. Number 4, also a 6 out of 10. I don't like a lot of the characters as much as in 3, except for, like, Crispin Glover. Well, I don't like his character, but he's good in it. I don't really like the kids in that, outside of the main 2. But Tommy Jarvis, Corey Feldman's fantastic in that movie.
That 4 has my all-time favorite sequence from any of those movies, because there's the one guy who like travels around with him for a little bit, like he befriends the sister and the brother.
He's killing me!
Yeah, he's killing
me!
Oh my god, he's killing me! He's getting hacked down in the basement. It's so fucking funny. Yeah. Like, that scene cracks me up every fucking time.
Number 5, 2 out of 10. Felt too much. I was really bored by this one, and it felt too much like an echo of the first one.
I disagree. I like 5.
Yeah, that's fine. I get why. I just Really didn't like that one. And then number 6, 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed that one.
Yes,
I thought that one was really fun and funny. I laughed quite a bit, especially that opening scene. I think it lost some of its funniness in like the second half, but in general, it was like a good movie. And I was shocked, like actually shocked. I thought I was going to go on the Friday the 13th, and I'm like, this is going to all be garbage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, some of these are actually good.
Yeah. And
it's to the point that I've watched 3 good ones so far. And that's the same amount of Nightmare on Elm Street movies that I thought were good. So I'm like, what?
Yeah, you've definitely got more mileage with Friday than you do with Nightmare.
Well, yeah, we'll see. If I like one more, then I'll be like, okay, cool.
I think that...
I don't think any of these movies have hit, like, the pinnacle that, like, Dream Warriors did for me. Because I really like Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
But...
Oh, yeah. Dream Warriors is, like, top tier fucking... slasher, fantastical horror.
But I'm hoping to finish Friday the 13th in the next, like, week or so. And then I'm probably going to jump into Halloween, I think. Because I've seen the first one. And I saw the third one a really long time ago.
Yeah, Halloween, they've all got their moments. Like, the last 30 minutes of Halloween 2 is pretty good. Like, I really like the sequence of that. Halloween 3 is fun. Halloween 4, you know, it's kind of a rehash, but it's not bad. 5, stinky. 6, stinky, but it's got Paul Rudd, and there's a lot of likable qualities, and there's 2 different cuts to the movie that are, like, way fucking different. I've got a Blu-ray of the producer's cut if you want to borrow it at any point. That's probably the one you're going to like more or less, because it's really wacky. But, and then H2O, I think, is pretty decent. I think it's underwhelming, but I think it's good. I remember always like being like, "Oh, H2O is probably the good one," because I think it was James Rolfe that was like really high on that movie. He's like, "Yeah, I really like that one," or something like that. I mean, it's good. It's just like I watched it a couple years ago when the new one came out, and I definitely think it was a little underdeveloped. It feels like it's building up, and it doesn't really pay off. And then Resurrection's fucking funny. That one's...
Is that the one where they, like, drop kick him? Or
yeah, Busta Rhymes drop kicks him out a window, and it's fucking great. And, like, Tyra Banks is in the movie. It's a weird... It's, like, trying to be Scream, kind of. It's real meta.
Yeah, I need to finish Scream. I watched the first one and was like, I fucking love this movie. Well, and then I just didn't watch it anymore.
Lillard in it. It's hard not to.
Which I feel like... I don't know. I get the sense that I'll probably think that the Scream movies are the most consistent out of all of them. Out of all of these franchises. But there's also only 4. So
they'll be the most consistent in that they'll all be the same fucking movie.
Is that all it is? Is it just the same thing?
It's just the same movie, but every one, it just gets like less and less believable because you're following the same group of unkillable characters who make it through every fucking film. And Scream has a lot of fans. I haven't watched the movies in a long time. I've always kind of liked Scream. Like, I'm like, kind of one leg in, one leg out. I can appreciate things about Scream, but ultimately, I think it's underwhelming. I mean, but honestly, I feel that way about most horror franchises. I'm like that one horror guy who's a horror fan, but most horror fans would probably be like, this guy's not a real horror fan because he gave Evil Dead a 6.
Well, I mean, like, I'm right there with you. Like, there are, like, I gave Evil Dead 2 a 10. Like, I love that movie.
Oh, yeah.
But we also, like, we just score things differently.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I fucking hate Child's Play.
Yeah.
Fucking hate the first Friday the 13th.
I feel like that video that you sent me of Ethan Hawke talking about superhero movies, I'm like the same way. I get levels of enjoyment from all types of film. Mm-hmm. It's just that, like, you know, I like to save my 10s for films that I feel like really go the extra mile and are trying something like really ambitious or extravagant, you know?
Yeah.
Not just because I'm like, wow, I really like Fright Night. I think it's a 10, even though I could probably list a shit ton of problems I have with them.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and I get that. Like, and if something is just like, wow, I really fucking like that, there may be a couple problems, but I can, like, easily overlook them from how much I enjoyed it. That's a 10 for me. And that's fine. That's fine for us to have.
Oh, yeah.
People that I disagree on that are like, I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's just like,
the only reason, like,
I don't think it's bad.
There are people on Letterboxd that, like, I see they follow me or something, but I'll look at their scores and they give, like, they've seen like 6,000 movies and 5,000 of them are below a 5. I'm like, okay, shut the fuck up. Why would you watch that many movies if you just don't like movies? Like, it's below a 5 out of 10. I'm like, what are you doing?
I mean, they might be like fucking us and just watch a shit ton of like full moon movies or something.
But there's no fucking way that 80% of the movies you watch are below a 5 out of 10.
I'd say probably
out of 6 though.
If they're like, let's say like, I don't know if this person is, but like people in the horror community will watch garbage.
Yeah. But a lot of people that do that, they're like, this was an 8 out of 10. This was really good. I'm like, you need to go watch a movie.
It's like, why don't you like just go chill out and watch like fucking
just go watch
Fanny and Alexander or something. God, I want to rewatch all those Ingmar Bergman movies.
That Scenes from a Marriage HBO Max series is coming out soon with Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain. Which I'm like, I'm just interested in what it is. I really like Oscar Isaac, so I'll watch it.
Yeah, like it, because I'll hear like them talk about rebooting these things or doing remakes, and it's like, it's such a simple concept. Do you really need
the name?
Remake it?
Or literally just make a movie that's
like A Marriage Story could have been like, they could have, I guess, marketed that as like a Scenes from a Marriage kind of thing, but like it's its own thing, like because but like you compare the movies side by side, they make like a great double feature because they're like very similar movies. They're movies dealing with people who are fucking together and don't like being together. Like, and obviously, I think A Marriage Story dives more into the divorce period. Well, maybe not, because you get I'm gonna go into fucking Scenes from a Marriage, because you get Scenes from a Marriage because it's like you get perspective on their marriage for like half of it, and then you get the second half, which is kind of about, you know, her realizing what a fucking piece of shit her husband is. Trying to accept it, but kind of struggling with like her desires and stuff. And we still need to watch fucking Sarah Band or whatever it is. I want to know how it ends. I didn't even realize it existed.
There's so many Bergman movies I know. There are just so many good movies, but I'm just like, I need to watch Friday the 13th, which aren't bad. Like, there are some that are good, but it's just like so many critically acclaimed movies that I'm like, I need to watch these. I'll probably fucking love them. Or hate them. But.
Well, the thing with a lot of like critically acclaimed movies is a lot of them are heavy. They're heavy movies.
And they're
they take a lot out of it.
Friday the 13th, they're all 90 minutes. I can just sit there. I can look away for 10 minutes. I'm like, hey, look. There he is.
Yeah, maybe
it's just like
died or something.
Either I'm just like, I can just go to sleep while they're having sex and then wake up when he's killing people.
It's like, those movies are simple, they're easy to watch, you know, they don't take any effort, and it's just like, they're nice digestible movies.
And then as a quick thing,
unless you hate that kind of shit, in which case you're like, no.
It's been a while, so I'm just going to go through things that I've watched. Rewatched Black Panther. Didn't like it as much as theaters, but I still enjoy the movie. I still think it's like pretty good. I think the acting's really good in it. I really like the performances. Some of the writing's really good. It's just, I don't think they don't have enough screen time for some of the characters. Like Killmonger is really cool. Michael Jordan's really good as him, but there's just not enough of him in my opinion. Rewatched the first Candyman. Fucking loved it this time. Like, way better than my first watch. I think I got it a lot more. I think I grasped what it was going for. Watched the new Candyman. Did not like it. I think it was over-bloated with its ideas, and not enough of them were expanded upon enough. And I didn't really like the kills in it or the scares. I was just... Dark Web Cicada 3301. Based on an old internet lore test thing about a secret society on the dark web. And there was a bunch of, like, tests put on the web to try to, like, figure it out, and nobody ever did. Really bad movie, but kind of funny at times. Watched Annette, the new Adam Driver movie, that musical by Leos Carax. Fantastic. Brilliant movie. Loved it. Very strange. Nobody else liked it but me.
That reminds me. Philip said that in the future he wants to come on because he watched an Adam Driver movie that he thought was the worst movie he had ever seen. And I'm like, but it has Adam Driver in it. How is that possible?
What was it?
I don't remember.
Was it Tracks?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Philip, if you're listening to this,
comment.
Shoot me a message.
The Last Jedi.
He listens to it on Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched Phallus the Man, or Dankon the Man. It is a Pinku film by Sion Sono from, like, his early days. I thought it was going to be, like, anti-porno. I thought I was going to like it. Fucking awful. It was just, like, badly shot gay porn, which is just... And it was just really boring. It was kind of interesting because they had this gimmick where there was no dialogue in the movie, but it just made it really boring. Rewatched Infinity War. This time, I hated it. I wasn't hot on it when we first reviewed it. I really didn't like it this time.
I'm interested to, like, rewatch that one again because the more times I had watched it, the more I came to like it. I was like,
I thought I was going to come around to it, but I don't know. This time, it just felt like everything was so superficial and all it was were building blocks for the next movie, and none of it was, like, entertaining to me. Which obviously every movie that's in a planned, like, series is going to be building blocks, but none of it was entertaining for me.
Yeah, because I remember walking away from Endgame, and I was like, yeah. Like, I don't remember what... I think I was like...
I really liked Endgame, so we'll see how I like it this time.
Yeah, because I just think Endgame leaned a little too much on, hey guys, nostalgia?
Yeah. Which I eat that shit up, I guess.
I eat it up to a certain extent, but it was just, I felt like that was really all the movie had to offer, and I felt like the way it handled, like, the Thanos stuff was just kind of, like, not great.
I get it. No, and the same thing how you, like, the more you watched Infinity or thought of the more I think about Endgame, I'm like, I do not think I'll like it this time around. I think it might have just been, like, I think I'll probably like it because there are scenes that I think are fucking awesome in that movie. But I don't think I'll love it anymore. I watched Vacation Friends, the new Little Ray and John Cena comedy on Hulu. It was okay. Forgettable. I watched Accident Man, which is a Scott Adkins action movie.
I'm drawing a blank on who that is, but I know that name.
He's just like I'll show you a picture of him. This guy, he's just been in a lot of, like, different action movies. You actually, like, might not know him.
Am I thinking of a different Adkins?
Maybe. Accident Man was pretty good. It was just, like, it's about a hitman that hit the one person he ever loved gets, like, hurt. So he's like, I'm going to kill all the other hitmen.
Oh.
That was pretty entertaining. I watched the new Witcher animated movie. That was really good. I really enjoyed that one. Very pretty. I still haven't watched the Witcher show, but the movie's good. And then I watched Shang-Chi. Best MCU movie. I don't fucking care. I fucking loved it.
Yeah, I saw a trailer for it, and I was like, oh, that actually... Because, like, after Endgame and after watching Far From Home, because I was, Spider-Stan.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm kind of, like, I was kind of fatigued. I'm like, all right, I'm kind of done for the moment with superhero movies. They aren't doing it for me. They're all starting to feel the same, and meh. So I kind of took a break, and then they went into the TV series, and it's like, oh, great. So now when I do get back into it, I'm going to have, like, a fucking river of content to swim through. Again, it's going to be like catching up. Because, like, I didn't watch a single MCU... Because I had watched, like, half an Iron Man back in, like, 2008. And I was like, don't really care. And then I went years without watching a single fucking Avengers movie. And then the trailers for fucking Homecoming started coming out. I'm like, fuck, I gotta watch the new Spider-Man movie. But I got all this context that I gotta catch up on. And I'm a fucking continuity nut, so I have to.
Yeah.
So I went back and watched the fucking 18 movies leading up to that. And I was like, wow, that was fucking awful.
Yeah, it's been exhausting going through that. But especially this time around, I've just not been enjoying most of them.
But after Homecoming, Homecoming was the turning point when they started spitting out pretty decent ones, like Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War,
my second favorite,
which we just talked about. And I was like, all right, and then that kept me there for a couple years. I liked Miss Marvel despite popular belief. Or not popular belief about me liking Miss Marvel, but...
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, just the popular opinion
Miss Marvel comes out this year.
Oh, did I say Miss Marvel?
Yeah, twice.
I meant Captain Marvel. My bad.
I think Miss Marvel comes out next year, actually.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one, though.
Yeah.
I haven't read any of her comics, but I hear they're really good.
Yeah, I've read very few, and I've played the Avengers video game. She's the main character in that, so...
I'm probably going to play through that soon because I replayed through the end of PS4 Spider-Man.
Nice. That ending. That story's really fucking good in that movie. In that game.
Yeah. It's a movie in a game.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
My favorite types of games.
And fucking, what's it called? Now I started the DLC, but, I got into I gotta finish this shit mode. So I had to finish all the Linklater and Dracula. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go back to it.
I never played the DLC. I was gonna wait for them all to come out, and then I was really poor at the time when they all came out, so I just didn't.
Yeah.
I will eventually.
I didn't play the DLC and I didn't play Miles Morales, but I'm planning to do that now. Because I'm in a Spider-Man kick. So yeah. Fuck you. So.
Speaking of Spider-Man, Bill Pope, the guy who did Spider-Man 2 and 3, shot it. And The Matrix and Baby Driver. Incredible cinematographer. He did Shang-Chi.
Oh, okay.
Shang-Chi looks incredible.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was something about the cinematography of it that, kind of got me, man, I kind of want to watch that. So.
Yeah. Pretty much most of the fight scenes in it are, my favorite in the franchise, in the MCU.
Yeah, I've been hearing that the fights in it.
There's a fight scene on the bus that's in the trailer. Mm-hmm. That fight scene's amazing. The whole thing. Yeah, I loved it. I really, really loved it. I'm excited to rewatch it multiple times.
Yeah. Here very soon, I'll watch through the fucking backlog of fucking Marvel TV series and I'll fucking... Who knows? Maybe I'll like them.
I hope you do. I don't think Falcon and the Winter Soldier's bad. I think it
that's the one I really want to like. So
yeah, I think it sets up a lot of pieces for the more interesting aspects of the MCU, I guess, because the rest is just we gotta introduce more characters, and I'm I don't give a shit.
Yeah, no, I get that,
and then
it's it's kind of like the issue that the Dark Universe had when they were trying to reboot the Universal. It's you guys are trying to and it's what DC had going on when they were doing their first phase. It's just you guys are focusing too hard on trying to put in the fucking roots for future sequels and stuff, that it's you're not focusing on the emotional impact of the story here and now. Yeah. It's what the fuck. But,
and then last two movies I watched, Ant-Man 2. Still not good.
Yes.
I don't hate that movie, but I just... Everybody else liked the movie. I'm I don't get it.
I'm going to order a pizza because I am really hungry.
Okay.
But I'll schedule it. Or I'll order it. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
But it shouldn't be long if I do go grab it.
Do you not want one of those burritos?
No, I'm good.
Okay. We should get the pizza guy in here.
Hey,
have you seen Slacker? No. Nobody's fucking seen Slacker.
No. I wonder if Matt Watson's seen Slacker. I'm sure people have sent him images of that woman and been is that...
And then I was okay, we're about to be done with the MCU. Can we watch all the Ghibli movies now? So we watched Spirited Away. and I liked it. I've always been like, Spirited Away is fine. It hasn't been.
Still haven't seen
like everybody fucking loves Spirited Away. I rewatched. I liked it more this time. I really like. I think the atmosphere of the movie is really nice, and what it's going for is really cool. And I like most of it, but I just don't like the pacing of it, and I don't like some sequences. But I do think it's a really good movie. I just think it's one of the weaker of like Ghibli stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like Howl's Moving Castle, I'm not a fan of. The Wind Rises, I'm not a fan of. And I like Spirited Away, but they're like...
I liked Howl's Moving Castle enough, but I feel like the idea behind that movie is like so grandiose that it needs like a short series to kind of like accurately kind of convey the scope of it.
Yeah, I get you. But I didn't like Nausicaa either, and From Up on Poppy Hill was like fine, but it wasn't like...
I thought Nausicaa was...
But Princess Mononoke is just like everything Nausicaa goes for, but better, in my opinion. And I saw Princess Mononoke first, so it's just like Nausicaa is like, I don't get anything.
I saw it after, and I agree. I'm interested to like maybe read the manga one day for Nausicaa and see if there's like gaps that the movie just didn't adapt, because I mean obviously when you're adapting a fucking like 6-volume manga into like a fucking 2-hour movie, it doesn't work usually. A Silent Voice did that, and I really like A Silent Voice, but I've only read like a little bit of the manga, and I truly realized I'm like, oh wow, they left a lot out, but it makes it work.
Yes, that is what I watched. It took a while. I watched a lot of shit. And that's why I was struggling. I was like, fuck, I have not been reading Dracula. I've read like most of it in the last like 3 days.
I read like the first 100 pages last week, and then I read the last 200 pages. I was like reading the 200s like throughout this week, and then I read like the last 100 pages throughout last night into this morning. And I gotta say, actually, never mind. I won't say.
Don't say anything. This is not a reading podcast.
But the only thing I think I watched that wasn't for the podcast is I rewatched Bela Lugosi's Dracula, the Universal one.
I haven't seen it. Is it good? I've heard the what is it, the Spanish version or whatever?
The Spanish version
like,
is
wow. They made
superior.
That like just at the nighttime once the crew like went home.
They basically like would look and be like, all right, we can do this better, guys. Come on.
And is it just better in every way then?
Yeah, they just tried to like enhance it. There's things that like American like film producers were like unwilling to allow to be talked about or shown that they'll show or talk about in the Spanish version. Like they don't explain what happens to like Lucy in that version. But like in the Spanish version, they explain that off screen she got a stake through the heart. And it's like stuff like that. It's just like it's better in a lot of ways. The only thing it's missing is just obviously like the Bela Lugosi and Dwight Frye presence. But the guy playing him's Dracula, and it is not bad. He's pretty good. It's just that he's kind of imitating Lugosi to a certain extent. So it's like gotta give credit where it's due, I guess. But yeah, if you want my honest opinion, I think it's definitely the most overrated of like the Universal classic horror.
The Mummy.
It's been a while since I've watched The Mummy. I liked The Mummy when I last watched it. It's definitely a slow moving one, but you know, I resonate more with its themes, and Boris Karloff really has a presence in that one. Bela Lugosi has a presence in Dracula too, but I don't know. Boris Karloff's just, I don't know. I'm kind of biased. I've always been more of a Karloff boy.
He's hot. Yeah.
But what's it called? Yeah, it's just it's weak compared to like the other ones, and it's not a great adaptation of Dracula in the first place. So yeah, I don't know. You might enjoy it more than I do.
I'll probably one of these days I'll probably just sit down and like watch all the original, like Wolfman, Mummy, Dracula, Frankenstein.
Yeah. A lot of the sequels later on aren't all that.
Invisible Man's incredible.
Yeah.
I fucking love that movie.
Fucking fun.
That's fun as hell. It's like, I'm naked!
Yeah. But what's it called? Yeah. I definitely think my favorite out of, like, all of them is, probably, like, Bride or Son of Frankenstein. I really like the Frankenstein movies. James Whale's.
Gay.
Yeah. Really, like, being an openly gay director back then, it's just like...
I know he wasn't openly in the sense that he wasn't walking around going, I'm sucking cock, but
no,
he was pretty...
You could see it.
But at the same time, like, reading Dracula, I'm like, Bram Stoker. Gotta be gay.
Yeah, there's...
A lot of it is like, and he hugged me in a longing brotherly love. I think about him every night.
Yeah, there is some stuff...
It's a love I haven't
towards
seen.
Towards the beginning of the video, or not the video, the book, I was like, this is very, like... It felt like he was leaning towards, like, the lesbian romance side of it. But then, as the book persisted and it started focusing on, like, more of the men of the story, I'm like, oh.
Well, even then, like, the early stuff with, like, Jonathan Harker and Dracula, I'm like, are they about to kiss?
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I kind of see that.
But in my mind, all vampires are gay. It's just in my mind. Like, I'm gay, I'm a vampire. All vampires are bisexual. Anyway, let's talk about Richard Linklater. So he, if you've seen Dazed and Confused, you've seen Richard Linklater's life. Like, he played football. He just kind of surprising. He doesn't look, he's like a bigger guy, but he he has like broad shoulders. I guess I can see him as a football player, but he also just looks like a stone. It looks like Dazed and Confused. It was just about him. He played football, and then afterwards he worked on like did he work on an oil rig or something? Let me see. Yeah, he worked on an offshore oil rig. He originally went to Sam Houston State University, dropped out. And then he worked on an oil rig. He read a bunch there. And he joined theater once he came back. And then he bought a Super 8 camera and just started like learning how to film. And then he moved to Austin, Texas and went to community college for film. And then he made movies. Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah, he's been making them ever since. With mostly Ethan Hawke.
He loves Ethan Hawke. And no black people.
Yeah, his movies definitely are white.
Very white.
The Texas director. Yeah. But
yeah, it's like, come on. There are a lot of black people in Texas. Yeah. There are a lot of people in color in Texas.
To be fair, that's one of the things that I appreciate about School of Rock.
School of Rock is like pretty diverse cast. There are a couple people of color in like Slacker and Waking Life, but outside of that, it's like there's one person of color in Boyhood. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it's really annoying. I'm just like, can you go work with some people of color, please? Which is really annoying because I love a lot of these movies. I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's one thing if it's just like tape, like 3 people, I'm like, fine, whatever. Yeah. But if you're seeing people, can I just see a little diversity, please?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a criticism that I would extend to like
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, no.
Like, a lot of directors that I like are very kind of just like cast white people. And it's like, come on, guys. Like,
yeah.
You do better. But
especially because a lot of these directors are like woke, and they like
like Richard Linklater comes across as a very progressive and socially conscious individual.
Yeah. And I know there's an argument that they're like they don't want to write a role for a black person because they're like, I'm not saying like Richard Linklater said this, but I know this is like a relatively common argument because they feel like it's disingenuous because they don't know the black person like experience or like the person of color experience. And I get that, but you can have a person of color be in a movie without having their identity be that, oh, I have to talk about my like they can just like have a role. They can just be a person.
Yeah, no, like you definitely don't have to typecast black people into just roles where they talk about like the oppression they've faced. Like, they can have fun and be in just movies too, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like a lot of them don't do it. And I assume, I don't like think it comes from any place of malice. I think honestly they probably just don't think about it.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things.
Which is also a problematic thing as well.
It's one of those things where you just want them to, acknowledge it and try to do better in the future. But I guess we just have to wait and see.
Like sometimes you do have to actively like think about what you're doing and change things. That's fine. Like sometimes we'll be on a roll of just watching movies by straight white men, and I'm like, okay, it's I try. I'm like, maybe let's get a woman in here, or a person of color.
Mm-hmm. No.
Oh no! Oh God, no! Okay, let's talk about Slacker.
Yes.
So, dude. What's his name? Man. I don't even know if he has a name. Slacker shows up. This movie is just a... What are you doing? Did you order your pizza?
I'm just making sure I got enough. I got one on my car. How much do I owe you?
$46. Whoa! Money, money, money! So Slacker is just pretty much a series of vignettes about living in Austin, Texas.
I'll wait till we're almost done with the podcast, so I'll have to go out to my car.
Okay.
But yes, it is about... So basically, it's just like you travel from point A to point B with a character, and once they reach that point, it'll switch off to a different character. And it's just a bunch of, like, young college kids just talking philosophy, talking about the world, how they view it, questions they have, just kind of giving looks into different perspectives for about, like, 90 minutes.
Yeah. It's definitely, like, it's the most, like, director movie I've seen in a while, in the sense of like, oh yeah, this is an early Richard Linklater movie. Like, This is just what he did later, except it's a lot rougher, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the first. He's the one in the first scene. Yeah, and he's just like, he's just talking. The taxi driver doesn't say anything.
Yeah, it's just this guy gets into a taxi and he's like, hey man, you ever think about like alternate realities? Yeah, like, what if I didn't take this cab and I just like hung around the bus stop, bummed a rhyme, met a woman, played some pinball, got married? It's just like, yeah man, maybe I should have done that. And the cab driver's just like,
it's like, this happens every fucking time somebody flies into Austin, Texas.
Yeah, and then he gets out of the cab and starts walking. He walks down the block, and some lady gets hit by a car. And then we follow the car that hit the lady as he's being arrested. And it just goes off like that. And there's so many to count. So let's just talk about some of the ones that came off as being the most memorable to us. Clearly, the Madonna one is probably the most memorable for me because it's just so bizarre. That is one where this woman who looks like Matt Watson goes up to just a couple people talking. One guy's in a band talking to like an old friend of his.
He's like, hey, you want
to come to the show that I'm having on Friday? And she's like, yeah, I could probably come to that. It's a little awkward. But then Matt Watson strolls up and is like, hey, guys, check it out. I got this pap smear from Madonna. There was 2 pubes in it, but some guy ran off with one. You guys want to buy it? I'll cut you a good deal. No? All right, you're lost, guy.
I gotta get out of here because someone else really wants this. So.
Yeah. And it's like...
Yeah.
It's just so...
That
So
one was
bizarre.
That one was bizarre. I've had shit happen to me like that. That does happen though.
Yeah,
maybe not specifically Madonna's pap smear, but
yeah, I don't think it's ever been an item so left field. But I've had people try to sell shit to me and be like, "Ah, come on, man,
I got a deal. Well, I gotta go. Somebody really wants." Yeah, the most memorable for me, and my favorite was the young man who tried to rob a place.
Oh, yeah.
And there was an old man. He's like, "Put that gun down." And he's like, I'm not going to call the cops. I fucking hate those guys.
He's like, I probably hate them more than you do.
And he's just talking about, like, being like an old anarchist, pretty much. He's like, so society's pretty stinky, huh?
Yeah, just goes on a walk with him. He's like, fuck that place. And it's like pointing out one of the government buildings.
Yeah. That guy was the most entertaining. I personally noticed a noticeable dip for me after that scene. I didn't really like most of the ones after that.
Yeah.
I kind of just started to zone out. I feel like I was pretty intrigued by the movie up until that point. And maybe it's just because that was the high bar for me and the rest were just like fine. But after that, I'm just like, eh.
Yeah, I really didn't connect with this one a whole lot. Like, I found it was mildly interesting.
Yeah, I found it entertaining, and I was interested in some of the scenes. I was interested in that scene, definitely. And then I'm like, should have just been this old guy this whole movie.
Yeah, I'm like, that one was pretty good. I like the one with, like, the guy who's just randomly walking next to this other guy. He's like, hey, I'm going to tell you about all these conspiracies. And he shows up later in Still Walking, too.
Waking Life?
Or Waking Life. I almost logged Still Walking when I was fucking...
The fuck is Still Walking?
It's a different movie.
I don't know what that is.
It, like, came out in 2008, and I was like, I don't think that's right. And then I was like, I hear it's pretty good. I don't know. But, anyway. But yeah, he's like the boat driver in that movie.
Oh, yeah. No, I really enjoyed that scene. And that was like pretty close to the beginning as well. Mm-hmm. And I do like the Richard Linklater one right at the beginning quite a bit. I thought it was set the tone for the movie pretty well, and it was entertaining. I'm like, wow, this guy's obnoxious as fuck. I love it.
Yeah. There's a few scenes that involve like conspiracy theories and Slacker. Like, there's one guy who goes up to like this girl in a bookstore, and it seems like he's gonna like hit on her, but instead he's just like, hey, check out my, like, this JFK theory book is good. This one's good. This one's good. But the one that I'm writing is going to be really good. And he's just trying to, like, convert her to, like, conspiracy theories. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But, yeah, then there's, like, forgettable ones. Like, there's this one with this guy, like, coming back from his, like, stepfather's funeral. He's like, fuck that guy. I hated him. Goes and he gets, like, an interview. Like, some people interview him, and they're like, who are you voting for? He's like, I'm not voting for either. Fuck the system.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like, that one was like, forgettable. You didn't even remember the first half of it.
Yeah, no.
And it's just like, yeah, so this movie's kind of a mixed bag. You'll get little nuggets of just, like, you'll get a pretty good scene here and there, but a lot of it's just kind of like, him experimenting. He's trying out, because obviously he clearly mastered the talking dialogue movies. And it's kind of interesting because you can kind of see where he went from here. Because there's like a little bit of Dazed and Confused in it, and there's like a little bit of like Before Sunrise in it. And then he just went out and kind of was like, I don't think this works very well together. I'm going to kind of like separate these two ideas that I kind of want to convey.
Yeah.
At least for now. And later films, I think he does a better job of kind of like,
yeah. No, I'm really glad we watched this movie, but in general, I'm like, I think this is the weakest of the ones we watched.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But I still overall enjoyed it. I like pretty much that first, like, 70% or whatever, and then the last 30, I was just like, it wasn't bad, I was just a little disinterested. So.
Yeah.
I kind of miss him being in movies for himself. Because he always writes himself as really dumb, like really obnoxious and like non-stop talking. I'm like, this is fun.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get another movie where he's just in it talking the whole time.
But I think you would give this movie a 5.
Yeah. You would give it a 6.
Yep. Let's talk about All Right. Dazed and Confused. That's where this came from.
Yes. Yes.
Dad, he's a pedophile in this movie.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know.
You never heard the famous, that's the thing about high school girls, man.
I didn't realize that was from this movie.
Yeah.
Like, he's like 25 or something.
This movie has a lot of just kind of like preying on the youth in it. And I don't necessarily think it was meant to be like portrayed in a glorified way. But I feel like it definitely comes off that way. Because there are characters who acknowledge it. They're like, hey, man, like, that guy graduated when we were, like, 3. Yeah. And, like, because there's the redhead girl who is trying to hook up with Matthew McConaughey and vice versa throughout the movie. And his character is substantially older than, like, everybody.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, there's, like, the fucking, like, they're going to, like, the middle school and getting, like, the future freshmen to, like, go up and propose to, like, senior guys.
And they're beating them, like...
There's a lot of, like, fucking, like, degrading fucking, like, submissive shit going on. And it's like... And I looked it up because I was like, these actors look really young. And a lot of them were, like, 16 when they shot it. And it's just like, oh, that's kind of gross.
And it's like... Hinata, that was one of the big problems Hinata had with this movie. She was like, it's not necessarily glorifying it, but it's not doing anything to like demonize it. And I kind of liked that aspect. It felt like Richard Linklater was trying to
genuine to the perspective of the movie.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think it's perfectly fine to have a movie that doesn't take a side for it and just let it be like this weird thing, because I think Dazed and Confused is a really interesting movie in that the way that people interact with it changes depending on what generation they're from. Mm-hmm. Like Richard Linklater's generation probably watches this movie and like looks back on it like fondly those days. Oh, while like I watch this movie and I'm like, what the fuck?
Like my parents really liked this movie. I watched it growing up,
but like me watching it for the first time, like. That's abuse. That's abuse. That's pedophilia. But it's like, and I think that's what makes this movie really interesting and good. Is because like it has a way of changing really well with the time because it's filmed in a way that doesn't take necessarily a stance on this. And Richard Linklater has said like, yeah, I look back on some of it fondly, but a lot of it is like creepy. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, but it's very weird the way that people interact with this. Like, I don't like the fact that some people watch this and are like, yeah, this was fucking awesome. Like, oh yeah, I wish this happened to me. Like, do you? Because a lot of the characters are talking about how they're like, depressed and they don't know what they're doing with the rest of their lives, or there's a guy who only is friends with high schoolers because he can't be anything else. There's a guy who failed senior year just so he could beat children more. Ben Affleck was good in this role because he is like that.
Yeah.
Like I think this movie's really fascinating, but I do think it comes off wrong for some people, but I think that's just it's a weird movie because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's definitely very polarizing in that aspect. And I think like overall, I would probably still call this a good movie. I think it's basically like the American Graffiti of its time because it's adapting like 20 years back. During the time period when it's made, and it's like, you know, going into the graduation and that next stage of life and kind of capturing like the last night of, you know, your fucking youthful innocence or whatever. The transitionary period. Have you ever watched American Graffiti?
I have not, which is, I want to.
Yeah. That movie's also got It's been years since I've watched American Graffiti. That's also got like some kind of like stuff of a similar vein to it. Obviously, it's not as like exploitive as it kind of is in this movie because it's a movie that came out in the 70s. But like there is like a 14-year-old girl who like is driving around like a graduate guy and they form a relationship over the course of the movie. At least I think. It's been years since I've watched it. But that, looking back on it, was like,
No, I get it. And there's like there's a new coming freshman in this who gets with the guy from Rent, who's I think going into June. They're like 3 years apart, but it's still like creepy. But I think this movie's good with its tone that it never like glorifies these things, or at least intentionally. And I don't really see it as glorification most of the time. Most of the time I was just like, I'm horrified.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this movie's really good. And it's really bizarre in the way that it's aged.
Yeah.
I think it's aged very strangely, and that's what makes it good. It's weird, for me at least. Mm-hmm. And I think it's fascinating because of that. Like, I don't think it's a great movie, but I think it's a very cool, like, thought experiment that, like, it arises because Richard Linklater is so good at, like, just capturing, like, genuine moments, no matter how, like, horrific. Like, there's a lot of horrific stuff. And there's some decently, like, good dialogue as well. Like, I really like the scene where they're laying in, like, the football field later on. Oh, yeah. And one of them's talking about, like, oh, this is the worst time of my life.
I like that whole arc with the
like, main character, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say the main character bounces back and forth between the football player and the middle schooler, I guess the freshman. Mm-hmm. The guy from... Waking Life. Yeah. I think his name is Wiley Wiggins. Like his actor's name. Sorry, Wiley. I didn't mean to laugh. It just caught me off guard.
But no, that arc's really good. Like in general, I think the big arcs in this movie are genuinely interesting. Some of the smaller stuff I couldn't care less about. Yeah, but I do like. Yeah, I like this movie. I like the Adam Goldberg, like, standing up for himself and then, like, breaking down right afterwards. He, like, punches the guy. He's like, why would you do it? Yeah. Because that's how I felt whenever I stood up for myself in, like, high school. I was a nerd. I was like... But I was also 6'8". Most people didn't pick on me. But every time I did that, I, like, broke down afterwards. I'm like, oh, that was too hard. So I get it. But yeah, that football scene... in the middle of the football field. He's like, I don't care if like this is the shittiest time of my life. I just want to be able to look back on it and know that I played my hardest. I tried my, it's like that's good dialogue. I really like that scene.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel it. No, there's definitely a lot of stuff in this movie that I resonated with. Honestly, this reminded me more of, like, my era of, like, middle school than it did high school. Because middle school is when I, like, started, like, smoking pot and kind of hanging out with, like, a kind of bad crowd.
11 years old, smoking the reefer.
I was, like, 14.
Wasn't that in high school?
No, because I'm an October child, so I have, like, basically, like...
When did you graduate?
I graduated in 2016.
Oh!
But, like, I turned 18 at, like, the beginning of the school year.
Yeah, I knew we were the same age, so I just assumed we were the same graduating class, but I guess not. Oh. Because, like, Joe's a November baby, but he still graduated the same class as me.
Yeah, so. They told me I was born 5 days too late to join. I would have graduated 15, but they were like, no, you were born 5 days too late, so you have to wait another year. I'm still pissed off about it. I was like, I could have been done with that shit a whole year sooner. But, who wants to graduate high school at 17? Me.
I did.
Yeah, I didn't. It was almost... I was like 18 and a half.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
Wow.
I did it.
2016.
That was a long time ago.
I graduated 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
And you're 5. Like, it's... making me feel old as shit. I didn't go to college. What am I doing with my life? I'm recording screen weens. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've been feeling last couple weeks, I'm feeling very self-reflective on what I'm doing with my life.
I feel it.
I don't know why I said the last few weeks. I mostly mean the last, 8 years.
Very true.
But yeah, overall, I like Dazed and Confused quite a bit. And I really like the soundtrack to it. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot of bops.
Yeah, it's got some good ones. Slow ride!
Take it easy!
But, yeah, it's okay. Reminds me a lot of, like, the Freaks and Geeks before Freaks and Geeks came out.
Yeah.
And I believe, like, I don't know if Richard Linklater himself, but I think, like, some of the people he came to work with, like, I think Mike White wrote for Freaks and Geeks. So.
Maybe. Freaks and Geeks is good.
It is.
Don't really want to rewatch it because James Franco.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I need to rewatch the Spider-Man trilogy.
Well, yeah, Spider-Man trilogy, you know, that though the levels of that are so high that it surpasses whatever Franco could diminish from it.
Well, which is really annoying because I actually think he's pretty good as Harry Osborn. He's just a piece of shit.
Yeah, no, I know.
You would give this movie a 6?
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 6. You would give this one a 7?
Yep. All right, let's talk about... I don't remember which one. I think it's Waking Life came out first and then
Probably.
Tape.
I think so.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just filmed Tape in like an afternoon. Like, honestly. Because Richard Linklater's like notorious for having like very short, I'm pretty sure they filmed like before midnight in like 13 days or something like that. Like,
yeah.
So Waking Life, another like rotoscoped film from him. Very bizarre.
Yeah, this one is basically...
It's just Slacker 2.0.
Yeah, it's Slacker 2.0, except this one takes place in a guy's dream.
Yeah.
And it raises questions like, is it a dream or is it like the kind of like post-death state where, you know, his brain's still active and in a dream-like state before he dies?
Yeah. You could always say, because at the very end of the movie, he just rises up, like, towards heaven.
He rises up, yeah. And, Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke's scene, that's, like, what they're talking about, you know? They're just like, yeah, you know, you're in that state of death. And, like, the whole time he's like, why can't I wake up? I just keep waking up and I'm still dreaming. Exactly like that.
It's kind of a scary movie.
Yeah, no, it's very much a nightmare.
Like Wiley Wiggins.
He's basically just walking in his dream world, and he'll come across a random person who will dump like 30 seconds to 2 minutes of philosophy on him, and then he'll just keep walking. Keep getting more philosophy dumped on him.
Yep, Wiley Wiggins. Yep.
Wiley Wiggins. Never to be in anything ever again.
Yeah, he became like a game designer or something. I think.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I just know.
Huh, well, good for him.
Let's get him on the podcast.
Wiley, you're always welcome. Ignore the fact that I laughed really hard at your name when I first found it out.
It's okay. Thomas, his last name is Griffin, like the guy from Family Guy.
Yeah, and my first name is Thomas, like the train, so...
Yo!
It's like the wombo combo there. But, yeah. I honestly don't have a whole lot to say about this one.
Yeah, I like this movie quite a bit.
I probably liked it more than I like Slacker, but it's not that far apart for me.
I would probably say the same thing. I like some of the scenes. I like the before sunrise part 2 scene.
Yeah.
I like the Richard Linklater scenes. I like the Alex Jones scene quite a bit, actually.
Oh yeah.
It was funny. Yeah, I think this movie just does what Slacker did, but the dialogue's written better. I think some of the philosophy's grown with Linklater, because this was like 11 years later. Later. Linklater. And I think the animation's really bizarre and kind of cool. Some of it's a little like funky to look at, but
I'm a little motion sick at a lot of points because it's like the background is
there's like shafting. But that's how my dreams like happen. Like I get it. Like that's most of my dreams. Like if ever I can like focus on what's going on in the back, like that's what it looks like.
I don't know if my dream, like I don't ever recall my dreams being like so vividly real. Like when I think of my dreams, it's almost like the clouded edges kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like if it's like real fish-eyed or whatever, I don't know.
I get that. Most of my dreams I'll have like, if I remember them vividly, it'll be like I'm watching a play. And if I look to the left and right, it's just like black. There's like nothing there. Mm-hmm. But the play's background is like not stable and it's kind of moving. Maybe not as much as it does in Waking Life, but I get what they were going for. And I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I get it. That's what happens to me. And I've had dreams that I've had like 20 false awakenings from. It's been awful. I've had nightmares just that keep going. So I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I've thankfully not had such an experience. I've had nightmares, just not. I've never had like the false, like, I'm up. And I like open the medicine cabinet and there's like a fucking Freddy Krueger hand that comes out. I'm like, no, I'm still asleep. Kind of moment.
I've never had it where I like wake up and I think I'm awake for like multiple minutes. It's more like I wake up and I immediately know I'm like, oh, I'm still dreaming. Or like I'll wake up and my body, like I can't move it.
Oh yeah, I've had sleep paralysis before.
But it'll be like, I've had sleep paralysis where I'm like obviously awake but my mind isn't. But I've also had it where like I'm sleeping and I wake up and like I can't move and I instantly go back to sleep. Like I'll be awake for like 3 seconds and I'm like, I'm out of wake up, I'm having nightmares, and then I'll go back to sleep, like pulled back under. I don't like my life dream wise. It's kind of scary.
I feel I'm not a big fan of my dreams much either.
Oh, but Waking Life, definitely. That was the last movie I watched. I thought I was going to like it a little more than I did. I still ended up like really enjoying it, but not my favorite out of the ones we watched. I think Wiley Wiggins is actually... It's kind of sad that he wasn't in more things, because I think he's pretty like good at this kind of thing, like these talkies that Richard Linklater did so much. Like, I'm like, he's pretty good. He's pretty like genuine in his performance of just being like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I'm just like a normal guy.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. But yeah.
You would give this one a 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
You would give this one like a 7.
Yep.
All right.
Let's talk about Tape. This is based on a play, which is pretty obvious when you're watching it. Like, I'm like, this is either it's based on a play or like they want to emulate the type like a play. It's all filmed on like a camcorder, and it's weird. I like this movie quite a bit, but
I like this one quite a bit too. Like, honestly, when it comes to, like, the next 3 we're going to talk about, I think I like them all pretty much kind of, like, evenly, but I like them all for, like, entirely different reasons. Yeah. So it's just like, this one probably falls to the, like, wayside, because, like, in terms of rewatchability, I don't know if I'll be jumping to rewatch this one, because it's just such, like, a heavy topic film.
And it's, like, it's hard to watch. Like, it's... Because the whole movie is just like people constantly verbally battling each other. Like, and it's like and it's an uncomfortable situation the whole movie. I was fascinated with it. I did have to poop right at the end. I was like, I know I'm close, and I paused and I had like 15 minutes left. I'm like, God damn it, because I was so engaged. It like was flying by.
Yeah, I had it open because I was going to do some like a file organization on the left side of my screen and have it open on the right, but then like I ended up just like the like 3rd minute into the movie I was just like and just completely focused in on it.
And I actually like The camcorder thing right at the beginning was definitely threw me off, but as I got into it, I'm like, okay, I really like the way this movie's like shot. I'm like, it's intimate and it's like aggressive, and the like grain of it, like that kind of shitty early 2000s like digital camcorder is like, I think added to like the rawness of it, I guess.
Yeah, I'd agree. I was really worried when I was reading that it was going to be like a shot on like a fucking old video camera from that era. I was like, oh no, like thinking about like Inland Empire and like fucking Bamboozled and stuff like that, where I'm like, oh no. But like, no, they just use that camera, but it's actually shot like a real movie. They don't use like fucking, it's not like shaky cam.
Yeah, they like near the very end they start like doing like these swinging motions and stuff, but it's like it's as the characters are like freaking out, like it makes sense.
There's a purpose for it, and it's executed very well. Like I was a big fan of the visual style of this movie.
No, I was too. There was one thing where Ethan Hawke did a line of coke, and then the screen went woo. Then I was like, okay, that was kind of stupid,
but yeah. So basically, the premise of this movie is Ethan Hawke. I'm just gonna call him Ethan Hawke because I don't remember what his character.
It's Vince, but Vince fine. It's Vince, John, and Anna, I think.
Yeah. So Vince...
Amy,
yes. Vince calls, he's in, like, Nevada, I think, or something, for a film festival.
Michigan.
Okay. I was thinking of Sundance. Or no, that's not Nevada. That's in, what's the Mormon state? Utah? No, it's not Utah. Why am I blanking on it?
If it's not Washington or Hawaii, I don't know.
It's wherever Salt Lake City is.
Utah.
Anyway. Huh? Utah.
Salt Lake City.
Okay, it is in Utah.
I didn't know Sundance was in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Oh, good to know. For when DDoS 2 premieres there.
Yeah, just don't. Make sure it doesn't have any porn in it, because that's illegal.
In Sundance?
No,
in Utah?
In Utah, like, you can't, like... You're not allowed to show porn to people.
Utah's cringe as fuck. Huh?
Yeah, because it's run by like Mormons and their standards and not. Yeah. Anyway, but what's it called? Yeah. So basically, Vince is like, "Hey, John, I'm here for your debut film.
You
want to
go get some dinner?
Want to go get some dinner? Meet me at the hotel room." So his buddy's like, "Yeah, I'll meet up with Vince." And he finds out Vince is broken up with his girlfriend, so that starts them on a conversation. And at first, you think it's going to be like, is this going to be kind of like, I don't know, like what the term I want to use for it is, like the idea of like, you got to work hard for what you want in life versus like, nah, man, I'm just going to do my thing, kind of vibe through it. It seems like it's going to be that at first, because he's like, you're kind of an asshole, man. Your girlfriend left you. You don't really have a job. Like, you're a volunteer firefighter, but you don't make any money. You sell pot to the fucking fire chief. Like, when are you going to get your life together? Be like me. Get a real job. Make some real money. And it starts off kind of like that. And it eventually branches off into... They're just kind of confronting each other about, like, old trauma from their friendship that was never, like, confronted at the time. And then they get to a point where basically they bring up like Vince had this like girlfriend in high school who shortly after they had broken up, John had slept with her. And yeah, basically...
Trigger warning right now, I guess we're about to talk about sexual violence. Because the whole movie is about Vince confronting John and trying to make him admit that he raped her. And eventually he does.
Yeah, he's very hesitant. He's like, no, I wouldn't call it that. But eventually he gets to a point where he describes pretty viscerally what he did. He's like, I grabbed her by the wrists and I stuck it in. And Vince just goes over, pulls a fucking cassette recorder out of his bag of drugs and just stops. And he's like, I got the tape. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's Hawk's like, oh, I'm sorry, does this offend you? Yeah, it offends me immensely. And it goes off, and he's like, well, why don't you call Anna and apologize? And like...
Amy.
And Amy, my bad. Why don't you call Amy and apologize? And yeah, basically, it's him just trying to get him to basically like confront and apologize to Amy for what he did. And then, too late, Amy's already on her way over for dinner. It turns out Vince had talked to her previously. So she's going to be there like very soon. And he's basically like, you know, do the right thing. I got the tape here. And the whole movie, all the characters, except for maybe like Amy, is like dripping with hypocrisy. Because like...
like Amy does things, but like she's the only person that has the right to do things. Yes. Like both these other characters have horribly wronged her.
Yeah, because like basically, you know, obviously she was sexually assaulted by John.
Yeah,
and then Vince just drags her into the middle of like confronting all of this without even a regard for how she would feel. That he just assumes this is what she would.
And he also assumes that this happened in the first place because she wouldn't sleep with him, so why would she sleep with anyone else?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, the two male characters in this are horrifying. Yeah. Like, Ethan Hawke at first is the one that's like, oh yeah, they immediately are like, yeah, she thought I was violent. And he's like, oh, this is a bad guy. And then John's like, using like this really obscure like language, like he's using big words to justify his actions. And it's like, oh god, this movie's really good. The dialogue in this movie is really good.
I think it really tackles and confronts a lot of modern topics, especially. I mean, they were relevant back then too, it just wasn't as in the limelight as it is today, because this movie obviously kind of harkens to the current like Me Too era, and like,
well, it's like, and it's one thing. It's really interesting because so much of the movie is using a woman's sexual like trauma as a catalyst for two men's arguments. When she's like, I don't want to have to live through this again. Like she like denies it because she doesn't want to go through it, and she's like, you're not. Why are you apologizing after 10 years? Like, it doesn't...
Yeah, and it's because you've been backed into a corner.
Yeah, it's because, like, you don't feel sorry. And even if you did, I don't care. Like, that's not something you can take away. Like, you cannot just apologize for raping someone. It's not something you can do.
No. It's like...
It's an unforgivable crime, pretty much. Like...
Yeah, it's just like...
There is no justification for it. Like, ever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just like, you did it, and yeah, it's just, you can't be...
It's not something you can take away. That's not something you
can really try to be better, and you probably should try to be better.
Yeah, but you can't.
You can't undo what you did.
And that's what... And the whole movie's just like, yeah, it's just men constantly talking over women about their sexual trauma. Mm-hmm. Like, the Me Too movement's been really good for women who want to speak out, but a lot of people are just, like, using it to... like, justify just doing random shit in the name of, like, women they don't know. They're not letting women speak about their own trauma. That's the big thing. It's like, this whole movie is like, you're not letting women speak about their trauma. It's one thing to support a woman, as one to use them and their trauma for your benefit, which this movie does. This movie portrays Ethan Hawke. That's all Ethan Hawke's a scumbag in this movie.
Oh.
So is John in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she comes up with a pretty... I mean, I wouldn't say like gratifying in like an actual sense, but in like for a movie sense, a pretty gratifying way to fucking get one over on these guys in a way of like, I'm not actually going to fucking turn you in or do this, but I'm just
because that would just lead for more problems for her. Like,
Oh, absolutely. But she pretends to call the police and she's like, yeah, I got this evidence and this guy's got a lot of fucking illegal drugs here. And then Ethan Hawke goes and flushes all of his shit down the toilet. Meanwhile, John is like, all right, well, I guess I'll face the music. Because it's the, like, most I can honestly do in this situation. And then she's like, all right, bye. Like, fuck you guys. Never again. And Ethan Hawke's like, it was nice seeing you. And she's on her way out the door. And it's just like, fuck, dude. This movie's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy, but it's good. I like that it fucking poses a lot of, like, challenging questions and, you know, gives that perspective. And yeah, I really like this movie. I feel extremely underqualified to talk about it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this movie. It's interesting to see Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman together in this, because they were married at this point, too.
Oh, they were?
Yeah. They were married for like 8 years.
Oh, okay.
Ethan Hawke cheated on her.
He
Yeah,
did?
that's like the one thing that he's like...
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Ethan.
Like, I'm not going to cancel someone for, like, their marital problem.
No.
But I'm like, come on, Ethan. It was 16 years ago as well. But I'm like, come on, that was kind of a shitty thing. But yeah, Maya Hawke is their daughter.
I knew that they had it up.
Yeah.
I honestly thought they were still together. I didn't realize that they had split
No, they split up like 6 years ago.
Oh, damn.
They were only married like 8 years, which is still like a long time. But
Yeah.
8 years is a long time ago.
Damn. Oh.
But no, this movie's and this movie is the one I watched last night, and it was like, wow, that was a great movie. Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and Ethan Hawke's performance is fucking wild in this movie. He's like jumping around, screaming.
Yeah.
He's like, I really liked his performance. And Daniel, what's his name?
I've seen him and stuff.
He was in Dead Poets Society with him.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a little reunion. Robert Sean Leonard. Yeah. Also, he's in House. I've seen him in quite a few things, but...
Oh! Yeah, he is in House.
Yeah. He's like House's best friend.
That's right. I've only watched little bits and pieces of what my mom's watched.
That's fair. But he's really... All of them are really good. Uma Thurman's especially really good.
Oh, yeah.
Uma Thurman's like a fantastic actress.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen her in a ton of stuff.
But the stuff she is in, it's just...
Yeah.
Good.
But, yeah, no, genuinely, really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I agree. You would give it 9. Okay.
Yeah. You would give it an 8?
Yeah.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. That was a bad transition. I just realized. I'm like, we just talked about a movie about sexual violence. We're like, woo!
Well, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
That's true.
The bottom is sexual assault. The top is probably more sexual assault if we're talking about the music industry.
Yeah. But let's talk about something good.
More jovial and
extremely,
feel good.
Yeah. School of Rock is...
probably the most feel-good, like, the best feel-good movie. I won't go that far. It's a great...
This is my go-to, like, when I'm depressed or when I'm even having an off day, I'm like, I need to watch this movie. Mm-hmm. And it helps me, like, every time.
It's good.
Yeah, so School of Rock. Yeah, I watch this movie, like, multiple times a year. Still. It's an easy watch and it's fun. And it's actually kind of a longer one. Like, it's almost 2 hours, but it feels like pretty quick.
I was going into it like, oh yeah, School Rock, hour and a half, and I clicked on it like, never mind, not an hour and a half. Hour and a half and 19 extra minutes, but take it.
Yeah. No. So Jack Black is a piece of shit in this movie. At the beginning,
he does a lot of questionable things, but obviously he kind of transforms over the movie. Because it starts off, he's in a band, he just wants to make passionate, fun music, have fun making music. But his band is like, nah, we gotta stick to this grind, and like you're doing things that were like not okay, like you're taking 20-minute solos, stage dives. Yeah.
So they fire him from this band that he made. So he's like, "Fuck you!" He's like, "Read between the lines."
That was my favorite thing in elementary school. I did that so much.
I remember when I first watched the movie, like for the first couple years, I didn't get it. I'm like, what does that mean? And then I'm like, oh, dude,
I had already been fucking flipping kids off well before this movie came out. I remember I used to get in trouble because kids would be like, eh. I'm like, it's not that finger, you fuck, it's this one. And they'd be like, oh, I gotta tell on you, you did it. I'm like, you don't have to tell on me.
They had to.
It
was their moral obligation.
Fucking, like, I went to school in, like, on Alaska. I got so much... Thinking about it, I was in, like, the first grade, and I got, like, fucking detention write-up slips all the time for shit like that. These kids are fucking little
Thomas
bitches.
was a bad boy.
I guess I was. And then... But I wasn't. I was a pretty good kid. I just had a foul mouth.
Too much Family Guy.
Too much Family Guy. No, it was honestly probably like too much Jackass. I watched a lot of Jackass.
Too much Full Moon movies.
I did watch a couple at that age. I was a little bit older when I started getting into Full Moon, though. I was like probably like 8 to 9 around when I started getting into Full Moon.
Yeah, but Dewey Finn, he lives with Ned Schneebly. They're roommates with Sarah Silverman. Mm-hmm. And he owes a bunch of money to his roommate. And one day, while he's home alone, he gets a call from a school being like, hey, is Ned Schneebly there? And he's like, no, can I take a message? He's like, oh, we're hiring a substitute. And he's like, I'll just do it. Yeah. He's like, I'll do it. Oh, yeah, this is Ned Schneebly. Yeah. I like, every time I watch this, I'll just start reciting the lines as they go. And I'll be like, why? I know the entire script to this movie.
Yeah. I was the same way with Fright Night for a really long time.
Oh.
But, yeah, so basically he takes this teaching gig, and, you know, day one, he shows up, like, after lunch, and he's like, oh, man, I don't really want to be...
All right. Who's got food in here?
You're not gonna
get in trouble. I'm hungry. Jack Black's performance in this movie is so genuinely, like, fun to watch.
Yeah, like, he really just fucking nails it. And then, yeah, basically he just eats this girl's sandwich. He goes over and learns about their fucking gold stars and demerits, and that pisses him off. Because rightfully so. Like, I get maybe, like, the gold stars.
That little boy is like, those are demerits. Yeah. He's like, what kind of sick school are they?
It's like, I can maybe understand the gold stars.
Yeah, I had gold stars, but demerits are just like on the wall. That's so fucked. That's actually fucked up.
That's just like trying to fucking create a fucking like stigma for a particular.
It's publicly humiliating people that you would consider bad kids.
Yeah, it's not good.
But yeah, he's just like not giving a shit about them for the first couple of days. But then he hears them in music class, and he's like, "You guys can really play."
Yeah.
Why didn't anyone tell me?
Yeah, so fucking...
We should just remake School Wrong.
They should have cast you for the Nickelodeon TV show.
Oh yeah, I look just like... Well, you're the one that everybody says look like Jack Black.
We could...
You know who said that while we were watching it? Hinata.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm like, don't say that to Thomas.
I mean, I don't mind. I prefer Jack Black over to, like, the fucking dudes who wear the fucking, like, hats and shit. Like the fedoras. The neck beards.
Jack Black's hot. You're hot. It's fine.
But we'll both play the role. We'll just be two guys in one coat, and we'll both...
Two guys, one coat.
One Jack Black. Hey, you guys really rock. I'll be him when he's meaner, and you'll be him when he's nicer.
Oh, there we go. But once he, like, discovers something to, like, talk to them about, he starts teaching them more about music, and he's like, I'm going to get them in a battle of bands. And a lot of the things he does are, like, for pretty selfish reasons, but there's a real, like, the movie's really good at having a transformative element for pretty much all the characters. Like, kids start to, like, Zach Mooneyham is one of the main, like,
he's probably,
kids.
like, him, Summer, and Freddie are probably, like, the three that get the most shine. Maybe Lawrence.
Lawrence, yeah.
And
Tamika. Tamika actually has the most screen time with
that. What's it called? I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he definitely has, like, moments where he's, like, you know, through this, you know, even if it's not exactly, like, what you can get what you want out of it. Like, there's the one kid who's like, I want to be a stylist. He's like, you got it. Yeah. And then, you know, he basically just assigns kids, like, all right, you go here. But if they come up to him, they're like, hey, man, like, I think I should be doing this. He's like, all right, why? Tell me why. Yeah. He's like, wow, fuck.
Tamika, why didn't you tell me?
When Tamika sings, you can see like the tears forming in his eyes genuinely.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, you can tell he genuinely starts to care about these kids. And he's like, you know, he feels bad because he realizes, oh, I'm kind of a scumbag.
Yeah. And he also forms like a genuine friendship with like the principal.
Mm-hmm. Tries to, because he sees that like she's obviously dealing with a lot of shit, pressure from the parents,
and he also same thing. He's using her to do something for personal gain, but he's like, okay, she's genuinely like a decently cool person. Maybe I should just be friends.
Exactly. And and then. There's, of course, the point in the film where it's like parent-teacher night, and they're just like, why does my kid like yes? What is this? Are you Satan? And he's just
is this homework?
And then Sarah Silverman ratted him out to the cops because Ned Schneebly had gotten the check. And he's like, what? I'm going to call the school. And Dewey's like, no! He's like, what did you do?
I told them to make it out to cash.
Yeah, so he's just like, honestly, I wouldn't have been there, man. I'd be like, all right, don't do this again. You better not be causing any long-term damage, but whatever. I guess it's money for rent.
Well, and I don't think, like, Ned wanted to call the cops.
No, it's clear, because obviously they portrayed as, like, a ball and chain relationship. Yeah. Like, Sarah Silverman's like, oh my god, you never stand up for yourself.
And then he slams the door on her.
Yeah. I was like, good. Her character is written to be very annoying.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Yeah, at the beginning, he's like, I may have another girlfriend. Yeah. But he's like, she's gonna break up with me. And Jack Black's just like, she's a fucking nightmare. Like,
yeah,
that wouldn't be a bad thing.
He's like, yeah, but like, I'm getting laid, man.
She kissed me.
But yeah, so, yeah, Jack Black's just basically, like, trying to teach these kids I like how it boils down, like, the wholesome side of rock and roll. Because they're like, it's about, like, getting chicks, right? He's like, no, it's not about getting chicks. It's about sticking it to the man and being true to yourself. And it's just like, yeah, that is what rock's about. Yeah.
But, oh no, the man ruined that too with a little thing called MTV!
Yeah, I like how it comes off as extremely, like, conservative, especially for the time period it came out in, because that was when, like, MTV was kind of, like, before it had fully phased into, like, reality TV, MTV. Because there was good stuff on it. Like, I remember growing up, I guess I kind of grew up watching MTV2 more so than MTV1.
Yeah.
Which had more, like, rock-centric stuff on it. But, yeah, no. Good movie, good feel good. They perform. The parents change their mind. They're like, holy fuck. Our kids are fucking talented. Yeah. What the fuck?
Is that my son?
God. It's like, maybe I should just let them...
Zach's got his cool top hat. He's like...
Maybe if I'm supportive and don't hold my children back, they can accomplish great things at a young age. Who knew?
When I was a kid, I never swore, like, at all until I was, like, probably in middle school and stuff. Mm. So, like, when I first watched this movie, and they do be, like, the kick some ass, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, whoa! Like, how the parents are like, what?
Yeah.
That was me. I was like, yo!
Yeah.
This movie just literally just genuinely makes me so happy. It's funny as hell, and Jack Black's really, really good at working with kids, and so is Richard Linklater. Like, I read an interview with the girl who played Tamika from, like, a year ago, because she's like an R&B artist, and she was talking about how, like, Richard Linklater was, like, just super fucking patient with them and would be like, okay, how do you want to do this? Like, and that makes sense. That comes off. Like, Richard Linklater seems like a super laid back director.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't seem like the kind of, like, ego driven guy. Like, obviously, like, he fucking has, like, Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy help write for, like, the movies they're going to be starring. He just wants
to make movies. Yeah, and he wants to have fun.
Probably, like, the best movie you can make, and he realizes, like, to do that, sometimes you have to explore beyond perspectives of just one person, you know?
Like, Tamika's character was originally named, like, Rachel or something. She's like, can my name be Tamika? She's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I love that scene where she's like, goes into the back and she's like, they're going to laugh at me because I'm fat. He's like, dude, Aretha Franklin was fat and they loved her. You know who else is
party with Aretha? Me. And she's like, why don't you go on a diet? He's like, I like to eat.
Yeah.
Is that such a crap? I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's just such a wholesome scene, and it's just like, dude, I love it. It's so good. It's just a good movie.
Genuinely like, and there's like one interaction with like one or two interaction with like all the main kids in that, but even like the other kids, he like has genuine moments with as well.
He even gets the faculty to like him.
Yeah,
like it seems because you have one scene where they're like, because he's just kind of sitting by himself at lunch, maybe talking to some of the students or whatever, and then like the teachers are like, why aren't you come to have lunch with us? And we're like, no.
I always,
and then he just starts making them laugh, and we're like, oh, this guy's fucking awesome.
If you cannot do, then teach, and if you cannot teach, then teach Jim. Yeah.
They all fucking bust up laughing, and then they tell him about Joan Cusack's love of Stevie Nicks, which, of course.
Yeah, Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks, dude.
Yeah, like, and all the plot beats in this are really well, like, fleshed out and natural, too. Like, it's, nothing feels forced in this plot. It's just, like, genuinely, I fucking...
And I think that this movie's going to be timeless, because I think that there's always going to be a place for rock music. Yeah. And I think that there's always going to be a place for just kids getting inspired to play instruments. There's not really, like, a whole lot of things that really stick out as dating this movie outside of maybe the music choice. But even then, it's like classic rock, it's stuck around so far.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's going to be phased out for probably quite a while.
It's definitely not it's nowhere near as like popular as it was in the 80s or 90s, but like it will be around.
Oh yeah, there's always going to be a crowd for it.
Yeah. But R.I.P. Kevin Clark. He died recently, which was very sad. He seemed like a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah. And shout out to the kids who got married. I don't know the characters' names, but it's the bigger security guy and Blondie. That's
sick. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And Rivka Reyes, the person that played Katie, the bass player. They're non-binary. I follow them on TikTok. They're very cool. Katie was, like everyone in the world, was one of my first crushes.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, the bass player, though.
Yeah.
They're awesome. No, and all the kids like seem like genuinely like cool people, and like Jack Black's so good with them. And in that interview with the girl who played Tamika, she's like, yeah, Jack Black just kind of like never felt like we were never intimidated by like this big star or anything, because he was just like so nice and so like fun.
Oh yeah,
he was goofing off more than we were, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, from what I hear, it sounds like now he's just kind of like the fun actor. Like big Hollywood actors will be like, oh god, I'm gonna be in a Jack Black movie. That's gonna be so fun. But what's it called? Yeah, and then they did the reunion like shortly around the time I graduated high school, or somewhere around there.
I think it was in 2017? Maybe?
Yeah. Because I remember watching it like...
Or it was 15, so 2018, I think. Or maybe it was 10, which would be 2013.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I remember watching that and being like, yeah, they still fucking rock! But yeah, School Rock. It was a good movie.
Yeah. You would give this an 8?
Yeah. Give this a 10.
Yeah. No, this remains one of my favorite movies, and I don't think it'll ever leave that lit. Like, I just genuinely enjoy it so much.
I get it.
Oh, let's talk about Boyhood.
Boyhood.
Which started being filmed in, I think, 2002, and finished in 2014. Yeah. I watched this movie in, I think, 2015. So I was just about to graduate, or had just graduated. It was around that time. And this definitely, this fucking hit me hard when I first watched it. And it hit me pretty hard this time around, too. Like, Yeah, I love Boyhood. I really like. Was this your first time watching Boyhood?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of Boyhood?
I really liked it a lot. I really resonated with the character because I myself am kind of a cynical doomer.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just like, I really feel it. Just the whole movie is just kind of like earlier on, it feels like he never really gets any moments, like
early on
and like even into his like adulthood, but I feel like it's very prevalent when you're a child, because like when you're a child, sometimes you gotta have moments that are about you,
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it was always either about like his sister or his mother, and it's always understandable. Like there's always like a context where it's like I get it, but it's like it's still like he's not getting his moments where he's in the limelight or he gets some time to himself or to do what he wants to do. It really feels like that early in the movie.
Yeah.
And obviously like moving around, I moved around a little bit when I was a kid, so I kind of understand the shock of what it's like to be rooted in a place and just to be like fucking taken away, and it's shitty. It's not fun. And obviously his character moves around a lot more than I did.
Yeah.
But basically he just moves around, kind of kind of like what's Waking Life talks about. It feels like he's just kind of being swept along with the motions, which I really resonated with.
His character is extremely passive for like
he's like
the first 75% of this movie, but I think that makes it like much better. I know that's like a complaint by some people that like he doesn't really do anything.
Well,
like
that's
the point, and I guess it's fine if you don't like that, but like.
I feel at least it should be acknowledged.
Yeah, that is the point of the movie, that he's passive because he like doesn't have the chance to be an active like role in his own life. Like everything is just happening to him.
Yeah, because he's always been reactionary. He's always been like, well, I'm with this guy, so you gotta kind of act this way. You're getting a haircut. We're moving. We're leaving behind your fucking stepbrother and sister who you fucking formed this relationship, and we're leaving them with a fucking certified abusive asshole. Yeah. A guy who, in his very little amount of screen time, I felt like challenged the presence of the fucking priest from Fanny and Alexander.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it definitely felt like I was getting vibes like that from this movie. But what's it called? Yeah, so it's just like, he's passive, and it's developed him with this kind of cynical worldview. He doesn't view the world in the best light, so he's always just doom and gloom, which makes people even more distant from him because they don't want to like acknowledge that he's speaking some truth. They want to like pretend that he's not, or even if he is, they're just like, I don't want to hear about it. I just want to live in a bubble and accept, a more positive version of life that I can live, which is understandable. Like, the thing I like about this movie is it doesn't present, like, it tips the scale where it's like you almost want to like dislike a character because they seem kind of shitty. Like, there are several points where I'm like, man, I can criticize the mom a lot in this movie, but I also get it.
Yeah,
I get her struggles.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's hard to criticize the mom if you like look at her as a real person and not just a character in a movie. And I think it's important to like realize that Richard Linklater really, really wants to strive for realism, and I think he does it very well. That like a mom struggling with these ideas would act like this. Like, there are times where she's does something kind of fucked up or something, but like a lot of times she was a super young mother. She was a super young mother, and like she never got a chance to be like a kid and stuff, which is not like his fault, but it leads her to be abused multiple times by like toxic men.
Yeah.
And it's like, my parents split up when I was in, I think like middle school, but they had this thing where they kept like trying to fix their relationship for quite a few years, which was extremely toxic for them and for me and my little sister. My older siblings were already out of the house at that point, so they didn't have to deal with that. but which I'm so glad for them because it was fucking awful. But then after that, my mom went into relationships with toxic man after toxic man. And it's like, that's why Boyhood hit me so hard, because I was living that. Like, it was never to the point that, like, I felt like they were going to be physically abusive to her or me, because I would have fucked them all. Like, I was 6 foot 8. Like, I'm like, I can handle this.
Yeah.
But, like, they were definitely emotionally manipulative to her and to an extent me. And it was just like, so yeah, this movie rocks my shit a lot of the time. And I also, like, my dad was living place to place a lot of the time. He didn't, so whenever I went to him, it was like a different place. And it was with a different person. It was just like, yeah.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see why you resonate with this movie so much. Yeah, no, this movie really chimed a bell with me. I was just like, yeah, no, I really fucking feel the main character. Like, honestly, the gimmick of the movie didn't even stick out to me when I was watching it because it's just so natural.
Yeah, people are like, oh, it's good because it took 12 years. And I'm like, I barely even fucking noticed. I'm just with the character.
Yeah,
I think Richard Linklater didn't want it to be a gimmick. He just was like, this would be good. Like, this would...
Like,
and it is a good idea. It's awesome. Like, there were so many times that it felt so natural that I was like, wow, this person that they casted as an older version of him looks just like him. And then I remembered, I'm like, wait, that is him.
Yeah. I read some critiques that are like fucking critiquing his acting for like the later parts. I'm like, I don't really think so. Like, I felt like
it's pretty good. Like,
yeah, it comes off as kind of like awkward and stilted, but that's kind of like what that age is.
Yeah.
Like, and what his character's going through. So it's just like, I don't know. I really liked it.
Yeah. Thinking about dialogue and like things that I said when I was in high school and right after high school, like, I've always been a person that really likes to talk about ideas and like things in the universe. It's just like, that's my favorite topic. I like to listen to people's thoughts about things, and I like to like talk about my own. Mm-hmm. And I really like the themes of this movie because a lot of them are said like right up front by the characters, but they're really like rough interpretations of it. It's how like a real person would say these things that they believe. Like, I think it's much better in this movie than a more like eloquent, like classically trained actor might be able to do it because of that rawness. It feels genuine. Like, and if that's what you're going for, that's what you want. Like, that's...
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thoroughly fucking really liked this movie. I thought it was... really did a good job at, like, capturing the fucking just experience of early life.
And I get, like, I understand I know Hinata didn't like this because she doesn't like a lot of, like, long-winded, like, just talking. Unless it's like, she likes Before Sunrise, but that's more of a romantic setting of two people falling in love. So it's a different feeling, I get. But she's also not like a white man, like didn't live like a person that's white passing like boys experience. So I get it. And I understand if like why she doesn't like it. And I get it. Like, if you're not white, you might not like this movie. That's fine.
Yeah. No,
for me, it hit me really hard, and it won't hit everyone that hard.
No. But
yeah. I was like the perfect age when this came out, and I lived through a lot of this, so it definitely hit me. And Ethan Hawke's fucking hot in this movie. And like, no character's perfect, and no character's like genuinely good. They're just people. Like, Ethan Hawke is pretty scummy in the beginning. And then he gets a little better. And then some of the stuff he says then is pretty scummy too. But it's like but he's like trying to make his son feel better. But he's like, women are stupid. Pretty much. Yeah. But it's like, that's like genuinely what a person would say. Like, it's not a good thing to say. But like, that's something that my dad probably said to me when like a girlfriend broke up with me. Like, and it's fine. It's not good to say. He shouldn't have said that. But he did, and that's something that people do.
It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like... Yeah, fucking got a shout out to probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I love the scene where he's just fucking sleeping and his sister just fucking throws a pillow at his face. Oops, I did it again.
And then
he's just like, stop.
And then I was like, this fucking happened to me all the goddamn time. And Hinate's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. My little sister did that shit to me all the time.
Yeah, sometimes. Because I didn't grow up with siblings, but I grew up in an environment where, like, it's hard to explain, but I grew up in an environment where I was pretty close with a consistent group of kids, so I kind of formed that kind of a relationship with them. And, I certainly had a lot of just like, oh my God, stop. You're doing this just to annoy me. Go away. Please. And it's just like, nope. I'm here to fucking annoy you. It's just, yeah, great. Lovely. But yeah. Boyhood.
Also, I think the runtime's fine. Like, the Pierre and Hinase were really, really bored. I think it was really gripping the entire time.
Yeah, like, it went by a lot faster than I was expecting it to. I was like, because I was going into it. Was like almost, I thought it was 4 hours. I'm like, oh, it's 2.5. Almost 3.
When I pick a brighter summer day, we will watch a 4-hour movie.
Yeah, I mean, we've watched 4-hour movies before.
Like Zack Snyder's Justice League.
We've watched fucking Fanny and Alexander and
but those are incredible.
And they're also longer than 4 hours. Yeah. But yeah.
Would you give this one a 9?
Yeah, I'd probably give this one a 9. Give it a 10.
Yeah.
Well, Richard Linklater. No.
What are we watching next week?
Might as well. How about we do this? We'll do a trilogy of Dracula. So we'll watch Universal's Bela Lugosi Dracula.
It's like 1931, that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can watch the Spanish version too. Not going to be required.
Okay.
But you can't. I'll probably rewatch it, the Spanish version, because I just watched the American version.
Okay.
Horror of Dracula, the first Hammer horror, or Dracula movie.
Is that the first Hammer one?
Yep. And
is that that's this one. It's just called Dracula on Letterboxd, right?
Yeah, it's called Dracula in England, but
okay,
we call it Horror of Dracula over here.
Okay. And then are we Bram Stoker's
the Francis Ford Coppola one, which as much as I don't like Francis Ford Coppola as a person, god damn, that Dracula movie's so good.
Yeah, I'm hoping I like it more this time. I remember liking quite a bit of it.
I think 90% of it's just the fact that Winona Ryder's in it, but
that you like it or that you don't like it?
That I like it.
Oh, you love Winona Ryder.
I do.
Reading the book, I'm like, I don't fucking remember any of this shit happening in the movie. Like, after the Jonathan Harker stuff, I don't remember the movie at all. So I'm excited to rewatch it and be like, oh, this did happen.
They certainly take different perspectives. Like, in that version, Van Helsing is kind of a scumbag. He's not a very good guy.
Yeah, and in the book, he's just a swell fellow most of the time.
And the movie also adds the element that is not in the book.
The wife thing?
Yeah, the reincarnation of his old lost love thing, which I really like for the movie.
I don't think it's necessary for the book, but if they're doing a new edition, I do like it when they add things or change things.
I felt like it made me root for Nina's character, and I was actually like, yeah, fucking become an immortal vampire goddess. Do it, Winona.
Okay, we're watching those. Cool.
Yeah.
Surprised you didn't pick Nosferatu.
I mean, we can.
I'm not going to add that one too. No.
Well, we'll save that. We'll do a Klaus Kinski and
oh, I thought you were just Klaus Kinski.
What's his name? The guy from
McGuire?
Yeah. It's Klaus Kinski, right?
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, he was in the Werner Herzog Nosferatu. I forgot.
He also plays Renfield in want to say one of the Dracula movies.
Really?
I want to say it's like the Italian Dracula.
Count Dracula.
Movie. Yeah, with Christopher Lee. That's not one of the Hammer ones. That's a different one that he was in.
Interesting.
He played Dracula a lot. But, yes. Who knows? So yeah, we'll be watching this.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks everybody for watching.
Yes. Link later.
Bye.